MAGA Mike. Oh, talking. Well, see, they're lying, of course. Here's MAGA Mike, or Moscow Mike, talking about how illegals sign up to vote at the DMV.
Republicans are introducing a bill that will require proof of citizenship to vote.
This already
it seems
happens.
like common sense. I'm sure all of us would agree.
Yeah.
We only want U.S. citizens to vote in
Thank
U.S.
God.
elections. But there are some Democrats who don't want to
Bullshit.
do that.
Bullshit.
We believe that one of their designs, one of the reasons for this open border, which everybody asks all around the country, why would they do this? Why would they allow all this chaos? Why the violence?
Why would
they
you
want to turn
lie?
these people into voters.
Bullshit.
Right now, the administration is encouraging illegals to go to their local welfare office to sign up for benefits.
No,
well, guess what?
not.
When you go to a welfare office, they also ask you if you would like to register to vote.
What? Oh,
and so
really?
many people, we think,
Be
are going to do that. And,
many people are going to do that. It's of course another bullshit fake crisis. No. Democrats don't want illegals to vote. In fact, this is what happens. There is no illegals voting. Illegals don't vote. Because guess what, dum-dum? Moscow Mike, they're illegal, quote unquote. They don't want to get caught. How stupid do you have to be to even buy this bullshit? The fact is, the overwhelming evidence of voter fraud is extremely rare. And we already have laws stopping non-citizens, let's say, from voting. Non-citizens can't vote. But this bullshit canard about how Democrats want illegals to vote. They're open borders, letting all the illegals in because they want new voters, is just nothing but racist bullshit. Recycled old racist bullshit. Just like their recycled old misogynist bullshit. Their fake-ass Christian, not, faux Christian bullshit. Because they're not Christians. I wish they were. Because we wouldn't have to deal with their lies constantly. I know real Christians. And that's not them. They don't look like them. They don't lie about their fellow Americans as easy as breathing. They don't spew racist lies to divide people. And frankly, real Christians don't show up at migrant centers or shelters and scream and shine strobe lights into their windows to terrify them and say, you're not welcome here. Sick. Studies and investigations have found that voter fraud is rare. And in fact, here's the actual rate. Rates of voter fraud at 0.0000013%. Okay, that is 0.02% of ballots cast. It's infinitesimal. Is that the right word? The specific states and jurisdictions examined say that cases of potential voter fraud, only a handful of these cases were identified out of millions of votes cast. So, and the fact is, people who vote illegally get caught. And even if they don't get caught, let's say somebody slips through, it's not to the extent that it has any effect on the election. And the other thing is, most of the people caught voting illegally are Republicans. They're from the villages. Because they're hearing this shit from their dear leaders, from their dim leaders. They're fascists, they're Fuhrer. And they're like, well, if the Democrats are going to illegally vote and send the illegals to vote, which isn't happening, I'm going to do it to save my dear leader. from, losing. I have to do my duty. This is what we found in the last election. When voter fraud occurs, it's often Republicans. When voter fraud, it says it's more often committed by Republicans than Democrats. For example, in the 2018 North Carolina congressional race, a Republican operative was convicted of ballot tampering, not a Democratic operative. In the 2020 election, a Texas man was charged with 134 felony counts of voter fraud. A Republican voting multiple times for Trump. So give me a break. And this is, of course, there are other instances, the villages, people being arrested from the villages for voting illegally. Saying that I had to do it for my dear leader. Just like they had to buy Truth Social stock. God, I'm so sick of it. And the same shit, one of the things when I was watching this Moscow Mike press conference with Trader Trump, and he was going on with the oldies, It was like sweating to the oldies. They spied on my campaign. They spied. No collusion, no collusion. And it's bullshit. He keeps saying they spied on my campaign. First of all, there's no, and of course, no collusion, no collusion. Everybody said no collusion, no collusion. The fact is, there was collusion. The Senate, they did an investigation. It was a bipartisan investigation into election interference. And that's public knowledge. But Russia did interfere. That's what it said. It interfered in the election in 2016, and they're back for more. They concocted a sophisticated social media campaign, hacking of Democratic Party networks. That's another thing. They also hacked the Republican Party, but they didn't do anything with the data. They didn't expose any embarrassing secrets, even though the Republicans have many and plenty to choose from. They probably just held them in their back pocket, as contra, whatever you call it, compromat, right? Unbelievable. But the Mueller report here, it is true. They didn't find sufficient evidence of a criminal conspiracy between Trump and the Trump campaign in Russia, because the Trump campaign were a bunch of dullards, dumbasses, meeting with Russians without even knowing. Like when Trader Tot took the meeting about, Hillary Clinton's some bullshit that I love it, he wrote back to this Russian spy. Then remember when he said how, I was really meeting about Russian adoption, because he so cares and he's so concerned about adoption, right? Trump has repeatedly claimed that his campaign was spied on by the FBI. That's another thing I'm so sick of hearing, because it's false. You know what really makes me sick, though, is that he gets to say these things and nobody pushes back. When I was watching the press conference earlier, when he was going on about how Democrats want babies to be killed post-birth and all this other shit, nobody said anything. None of the reporters yelling questions said, that's just plain old bullshit. Right? Nobody said it. They just leave it out there. They let it lay in the middle of the floor like a stink bomb. But the other thing, when he goes on, spied on, like nobody's ever seen, the FBI conducted lawful surveillance of some Trump campaign advisors based on their suspicious behavior when they were meeting with Russians. They had a duty to investigate. Are these a bunch of traitors? Of course they are. But there is no evidence that this even amounted to spying on the campaign itself. And what are we gonna learn? What would they learn if they spied on him? What are they gonna learn? They're gonna see him what? His great political, his political ops. What are we gonna do when he calls somebody a fat pig? Is that what we're gonna learn? Him, how he's gonna tickle racist funny bones? How he's gonna debase the office of the presidency? Is that it? What a political genius. Tickling those racist funny bones. No one ever thought of that. Calling somebody a horse face. What a genius. Horse face. I wouldn't rape her. She's not my type. What a genius. What a genius. It's so unbelievable that, here's the media just letting all these lie stenches lay in the middle of the floor, unchallenged. So, the evidence says that Trump, talking about Russia, no collusion. Well, funny enough, Trump has been, not funny enough. He's a traitor he would sell his own mother to Russia if it would give him money and power, allow him to do whatever he wanted to do. He wants to be Putin. You understand that? He wants that. He admires Kim Jong-un. He wants people to go, "Oh yes, sir." When he steps off this mortal coil, he wants everybody to go, "Oh," and not want to be afraid to be the first one to stop crying. That's what he wants. That's why he wanted a military parade down, Pennsylvania Avenue. That's why when he gets in front of anything military, he puts on a salute. He steals valor with his salute. Oh, well, he would never wear the uniform when he was called. His feet hurt. But he wants to look real tough with that salute, which makes me sick. He has no right to salute. He's not in the military. He's a civilian. Even if you're commander in chief. That's the whole thing. They love the founders. They love to pretend that the founders were all Christians, of course. But the founders made a civilian leadership of the military deliberately because of their knowledge of the fact that, the military often overthrows government. So you want to have civilians in charge, not generals. The generals should answer to the civilians. But he doesn't know that, right? He doesn't know anything about this country except how to hump a flag for the morons. It makes them feel like they're patriotic when their dear leader humps a flag. The poor flag, really. Sure, the flag has flashbacks. The flag needs counseling, frankly, sexual assault counseling, PTSD. So, he's been remarkably accommodating to his hero, Vladimir Putin, despite Russia's interference in our election and their continuing interference. He's, of course, remember how disgusting he was? How embarrassing he was in Helsinki? That disgusting display of weakness, really. He's just weak. Saying that, Putin and I, we're talking about some internet thing that they were going to set up, a secure internet. Oh my God. Putin he can't even believe his luck. Right? With this con man. Oh my God. All I have to do is flatter him? and he will do all the work of destroying democracy for me. Yeah, so Trump, he's praised Putin, he's opposed sanctions on Russia, and even sided with Putin over U.S. intelligence agencies. And now, you know what, Republicans, this is how much they hate this country. They go after the FBI, right? Everybody, you know, defund the police, they cry. But the only ones defunding the police are them. Because in an authoritarian country, the police are for the police state. You know, they don't like the police. They don't respect the police. They don't support the police. They support the police state. And if the police work to protect democracy, protect the underdog, protect, you know, the destruction of democracy, the Republicans and Trump, they hate the police. That's why they go after the police. The only ones defunding the police, the Justice Department, the FBI, that is them. Just like the only ones who are creating this open border chaos are them. You know, they have the nerve to cry about those who have died of fentanyl overdose. Oh, fentanyl's coming in. Well, part of the bill that you're blocking has all these high-tech machines that the Border Patrol, that the Border Police want, so they can detect fentanyl. More protection for the people you pretend to represent. They don't give a shit who dies of fentanyl. These people hate everybody but them. They have no compassion. You know, that's your compassionate conservatism. Oh, I could tell you more when we meet one day. I'll tell you more about compassionate conservatism. What I have to deal with these losers.